Let's do introductions. I think it might be Janice's first time here with us, or is there familiar faces in the room to you?
I've been involved in this stuff for 20 years. Trust me, I've been here.
In this meeting? Okay. It may have been, it's maybe a little while, but let's get through introductions and you can refamiliarize yourself with some of the people here that you know and some of the newer folks in the room. Michael Gaffney, Chair of Government Relations Council and PG&E. Which direction? Go ahead.
I'm Trish Christensen, President and CEO of the Modesto Chamber of Commerce. I guess we're going this way. Sorry, Todd.
All good. Todd Aronson, CEO of Visit Modesto.
Dana Ferrer, Regulatory Analyst for Modesto Irrigation District.
Kirsty Boyette Zacharias, Executive Director for American Leadership Forum and Chamber Board Chair.
Peggy McDonald, consultant with Valley Promotions. I am Chamber Board member.
All of the top cities and Chamber Board. Justin Parker, obviously, Assembly Member 1 office.
Save Janice or
Oh, sure. Oh,
Sorry,
Cameron's right here, lean back for just a second. Go ahead.
Janice Keating, Division 2, representing the Modesto Irrigation District.
Perfect. And then the folks online, you can start with Kelly.
Good afternoon, Kelly Talent, General Manager for Vintage Fair Mall and also Chamber Board Auxiliary.
Thank you, Brad.
Hi, Brad Blake, Edward Jones Investment Board Member.
And Keenan.
Hi, Keenan Craig, Second Harvest of the Greater Valley.
Hey, Keenan, nice to see you.
I see you too, Michael.
Okay, if somebody has had an opportunity to read the minutes from the previous month's meeting, I would like to entertain a motion
I'll move.
to, okay, Dana, Cecil, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you so much. Motion carried unanimously. All right, let's get into report outs. Anybody from the city of Modesto? Not seeing anyone. Stanislaus County. Not seeing anyone today. It's unusual for both. Justin?
Yeah.
With Assemblyman Juan Allen Youth's office?
All right, lots of good news and a little bit of bad news today. So we are grateful to announce that we have moved 5 bills to the Assembly floor to be heard and voted on this year. There's a couple that we're waiting on. But 2 bills that were in the Appropriations Committee, which is effectively the committee that determines whether or not the state has the budget to move forward with your bill. Has allowed 2 of the 8 bills that we've gotten passed out of committee to be heard by the Assembly as a whole. Those bills are Assembly Bill 243, which allows for child victims of kidnapping to be added to the anonymity file that we have in our state, making their address and personal information more private in the public record. And we also got through Assembly Bill 255, which gives first responders priority registration in community college systems. Another bill that we've also got an opportunity to bring to the floor of the Assembly is going to be Assembly Bill, I believe it's 1074. That is specific to Stanislaus County, allowing Stanislaus County Fairgrounds to be a satellite location to allow for respect. So another potential place of revenue, I guess, for our county, but that's what that bill allows for. We are unfortunately having to announce that this time our bill, Assembly Bill 335, which allows for a study by the Little Beaver Commission to look into the impacts of Proposition 47 in terms of retail theft, has been placed on suspense. We're working on making that a 2-year bill and rolling it over into the next year of the next legislative year to see if we can try that again next year. But right now, we're really disappointed that we're kicking that issue down the road because we're seeing the impacts of both sides of it right now, the drug side and the retail theft side. But we're really looking forward to finding some solutions toward at least the issue with retail theft, and there doesn't look to be a priority of our counterparts or the governor right now. So we're gonna try to.
And you had another report out you were gonna offer?
We'll let
Okay.
we'll keep the order here.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions for Justin? John, would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm John Blinds, here from Modesto Gospel Mission, and I'm on the board here too.
For that. Okay, we'll move into Senator Maria Alvarado Gil's office, excuse me.
That makes the race, but then I can talk to the person of my own family that's headed to the Senate floor. Date is to be determined. SB 796 would make it unlawful to threaten to commit crimes that will result in death or free bodily injury out of skill or place of worship, even though specific victim of the crimes. That is also heading to the Senate floor.
Can you repeat the number of the second Senate bill?
SB
796. Check. Thank you. Welcome. Appreciate you coming in. We normally see Jacob. So it's nice to see you. And then do you want to?
Intern.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Neolani and I recently served as the district intern for our senator office.
Are you local?
I am.
Okay. Are you going to school right now, or are you just interning for the summer?
I'm currently a junior at CC Stanislaus.
Oh,
And
nice.
I'm supporting.
Oh, excellent. Great. All right. Very good. You're welcome anytime. Any questions for Narinder? Yes.
I actually, I was in Sacramento this week as well, but for the senator, I know that she tried to put through a bill this year for changing the California license plate to make it maybe not everybody knows this, but at the bottom of our license plates, it says dmv.ca.gov. And most license plates in the country reflect the theme of the state, you know, like Florida, Sunshine State, New Jersey, Garden State. So the senator had actually initiated legislation that I don't even know if it made it to suspense, to change that for Visit California or Dream Big, Visit California. From the tourism industry, we thank you. And I just got a note this morning from our Legislative Affairs Committee for Cal Travel as well as for Visit California, that when the senator is ready to bring that back up, they will work with her to support it through the tourism industry and back up to the rest of the state senate. So they'll fully support that.
Oh, excellent.
And then I'm sorry for the assemblyman, I also met with him and brought up an issue impacting one of our local businesses here in Modesto. Rodine Farms out at Oakdale Road, which is being impacted by the widening of the road. And the assemblyman is going to be making some calls to make sure that's taken care of favorably, so we don't lose a business. Because they were talking about moving to Escalon if it wasn't resolved.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So they're trying to stay on that corner? Or they'd like to stay on that corner?
Move, they would probably take out a
Shift
road
down
or
somewhere.
two on the
Yeah.
Oakdale Road side.
Okay.
And move to the other side of the parking lot, but
Mhm.
they own all that property, but the county had initially gave them an ultimatum a few weeks ago that said, we will take the right turn lane and go on one side of your farm stand between the orchard and the farm stand and expand the road on the left side of the farm stand. And we'll put in some concrete, those round bollards, to protect the farm stand and make the farm stand an island between the exit and the main road. With no compensation to help them move. As we all know, it takes permits, hookups. So we've been lobbying behind the scenes, getting city staff involved. anyway, so it's now starting to change. The Public Works Department of the county is responding very
Wow.
well. Dave Lehman is on it, apparently. Any calls you want to make, by all means, help. And the assemblyman said, well, she should have called me personally, but yes, I'll make a lot of phone calls. So thank you.
Another discussion.
We stop by the Public Works
Before
office.
these plans
Oh.
are drawn up.
She's been talking to them for a year and a half. I mean, she totally gets the right of way and, you know, she has no problem with eminent domain. It's, if you can't help me relocate my business, I have to do where it's affordable.
Well, thank you to you and your team for advocating for our local businesses. I think that's really important. On the license plate bill, it didn't make traction, or we don't know? That's kind of interesting.
It didn't make it out of committee.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, this was, I think, 60 days ago when it went to committee and the chair, I think, the one that goes this way. But both tourism organizations in the state of California sent a note this morning that they'll give her any support and assistance and staff help to write that up and then help because we have PACs, lobbying is appropriate.
Yeah. No, that's
Is
good.
that when they learned of it? Was it got turned down?
No, we just learned of it when we went to her office this week.
Interesting. Yeah, I
So
haven't heard about it.
They
either.
had heard about it, but they weren't aware what happened, so now they're very interested in helping.
How does the city of Riverbank find out? On the issue of the city of Riverbank, trying to help them.
It's Modesto. That's Modesto property, so I learned,
I understand that's, but that's just the other side of the stuff. Riverbank, but you would think that they would kind of think there's.
it seems like there was no communication between the county and the cities. Because when I alerted our city council members, that district and a couple other council members about it, they were unaware.
That, you know, that's unusual for Dave. He usually.
He thought it was handled by his division, so he found out after a bunch of us started waking up snakes. And I think he was caught by surprise. He thought it was handled in a fashion that he anticipated was going to be a positive resolution. So he's jumped in to fix it.
Do you need some letters written?
I think if you even, like, you know, Dave, if you just touch base with them and say, is this gonna be okay?
Yeah, okay.
Before we torture anybody. And that's what the assemblyman was great about. And I said, make sure Dave is okay in this because he's trying to fix it now that he got back involved. He had delegated it thinking it was fixed. He's a great guy. He's doing a fantastic job on trying to fix this.
Very good. All right, well, keep us apprised of any latest developments, and I think even the license plate thing is something we'd probably be willing to support. I think Modesto's slogan or California's slogan, if you will, is better than a website.
Yep.
I know other states in the South use their county, but I like the slogan idea a lot. Okay, so let's move into, it looks like McClintock absent, Duarte absent.
I do have a report for you.
Okay, go for it.
So don't ask me any questions. Leave the questions for Gavin next time you see him. I have a cell in the office number if you guys would like it to. I'm just gonna read verbatim what Mr. Klein and the Duarte team did. This week has been busy for Congressman Duarte in DC. Duarte is working with both parties to deliver practical immigration legislation that actually has a chance of becoming law, standing up for American mineral security and providing active forest management to protect California's sequoias. After much thought, Congressman Duarte has voted against HR 2, the Secure Our Borders Act of 2023. Congressman Duarte wholeheartedly supports enhanced border security for Valley families, but Valley families deserve practical solutions that both Democrats and Republicans can support. Unfortunately, this will harm many families that work in our valley and create difficulties for our food producers. As it is, the legislation is dead on arrival in the Senate. Congressman Duarte believes we can do better. With hard work from both Democrats and Republicans, we deliver real results to fix DACA, ensure a flexible and effective guest worker program, and protect our border. Congressman Duarte encourages his colleagues from both parties to work together on a bipartisan note that benefits our working families and strengthens our nation's economy. Congressman Guardy understands that the vote will not be popular among his fellow Republicans. However, Congressman Guardy is committed to upholding his promise to put working families ahead of Washington party politics. Congressman Guardy has never been afraid to stand up for our valley, even if it means standing alone at times. Congressman Guardy will continue to work with his colleagues on both sides of the aisle to find common sense solutions to secure our border and protect our families. Mineral security is national security. We rely on critical minerals for healthcare, technology, military equipment, batteries, and virtually everything we rely on in our daily lives. It's crucial that we harness our abundant mineral resources to remain competitive with China, protect our supply chains, and provide the materials for alternative energy sources. Congressman Guardy is proud to join Representative Ruben Gallego in introducing a bipartisan bill to provide $50 million in funding for improved water infrastructure. This bill is a common sense solution to getting more water on the farms of working families. Thank you. So I will provide some brief context for that. For those of you who didn't see HR2 and everything what that stands for, is a multi-pronged approach on tackling the immigration issue. One was providing a lot of resources to restore building the border wall, kind of re-upping border patrol, enhancing some of the technologies that they have. And on the other side of it, it would force all employers nationwide to use the E-Verify system to ensure that their employees were legally eligible for jobs in the country. From my understanding of what I've read on from further from Congressman Guardy, his specific issue with this historical dispatch was the E-Verify, because it would put a lot of families out of jobs in his district, I should say. So that's all I have for that. Maybe questions. Yeah.
All right, so as Justin mentioned, we do have a direct line to Doherty's office, so if you have any questions, let us know. We can send those over. AT&T and Comcast both appear to be absent. Dana, would you like to provide any updates ahead of the presentation?
Sure, yeah, yesterday was Suspense Day where all fiscal bills had to make it out of both the Senate and Assembly appropriations or they died. Unfortunately, out of, let's say, the 1,200 or so bills, most of them passed. I think 534 were passed out of the Assembly, 326 were passed out of the Senate. So then they go to the House of Origin floor. Numerous bills were passed with amendments, and just so you know, they're passed with amendments that are not in print, so we don't even know what the amendments are. It's a bit crazy, but there were a couple water right bills, unfortunately, that passed out of that committee. I think the amendments are in print now. I haven't reviewed them, but I can only guess that we will still be vehemently opposed because they're just horrible bills. There were a few good positive outcomes from folks. AB 1637, it was a local government internet website and email addresses. We required all special districts, cities, and counties to require that their email addresses and websites be ca.gov or .gov, which is it's a huge cost to, especially some of these small districts, whether you're mosquito abatement, cemetery district, healthcare. It's a huge cost to make this change. And the state was saying that they wanted this change for more security. I don't know about you, but how many state websites have been hacked in the last couple of years? It doesn't provide any more security than especially what MID currently has. So fortunately, that bill was amended to only include cities and counties, which still isn't great for our area, but MID supports the amendment because we're no longer included. The California Air Resource Board recently passed a rule regarding the advanced clean fleets, and there's a bill moving through, I believe it's 1594, that made it out of appropriate with amendments, but I haven't seen the amendments. but it will allow an exemption for vehicles providing emergency services. Because currently the only exempt vehicles are fire trucks and ambulances, doesn't include any of our service vehicles that provide mutual aid up and down the state. And there's no way any of these EVs are gonna be able to travel, say, to Tuolumne when the power is out and have to provide mutual aid with an electric vehicle and then have to bring a generator to recharge the vehicle that runs on gas, which, by the way, CARB oversees the emissions for that. So it's somewhat of a cluster, but hopefully 1594 will pass. So we'll be exempt and be able to provide mutual aid with fuel ran vehicle. I think that's it. Still posting all the water rights. Most likely they will make it out of probes, because what we're hearing is the assembly members don't want to oppose their own members' bills, which is not what we don't vote them in there to have a kumbaya moment. You're voting for your district, and unfortunately, that doesn't happen a lot. Assembly member Alanis is very much in our corner, as is Assembly member Flora, and we do have support on the Senate side for Caballero, Edmund, Philip Dubois, and so we're at Alvarado Gill. So we're our delegation is very much in our corner. It's LA, although Orange County is now coming out against all the water right bills. There just needs to be a broader coalition of housing and labor and everyone else that needs to get on board, because if our water rights are diminished in any way, that diminishes our ability to provide water to the city of Modesto, which then in turn, there's no way for them to say, yes, we can provide water for 2,000 new homes. I mean, you can't say you have something when you don't know how much of it you're going to get, because the state water board will have their authority expanded. So it's important that we oppose AB 460 and AB 1337. That's it. Did I give any of your?
No, it's just right. You said on the doc, so that's the full name of the city. So like now, like it has to be. I use like say Joe Lopez, J Lopez at City of Modesto, DACA, City of Houston, DACA, City, whatever, DACA has to be.
Yeah, so like if special districts were still included, right now we're currently MID.org, and it'd have to be Modesto Irrigation District.ca.gov or .gov.
A lot of typos.
Well, a lot of typos. You have, like Del Puerto Healthcare District, that's a mouthful, and they have an abbreviated email address and website now. So it's really a cost, a mandate on cities, counties that doesn't need to be, because, most of us have our own cybersecurity and there's no safety issues. So, it's unfortunate. I'm done.
Any questions for Dana? She's done. She's done. Yeah, keep us up to date on that stuff. Hi, Craig Lewis, we see you. Hope you're doing well, sir. Let's move into League of California Cities with Stephen Qualls.
Thank you very much. So we did an analysis on the budget. The link there, if you want to look at some of the guys, but it really changes how it fits in there's a major deficit at the state, and I'll always have a report. Thank you. So it's expected to be more than $30 billion. We're probably not going to affect the possible recession in that estimate. And, within most of the counties in California not having to file a tax October, I'm one of them. And most people I talk to are, they have no idea what our shortfall revenue, the federal side, and sure things they stand in New York. State of New York, their revenues are down 40%. What people were last year. So there's probably gonna be a lot bigger budget deficit than they're putting it out now. So there's little for this, maybe it just applies to cities and counties, but there's a member of the Department of Justice on the federal side who are making surprise visits to offices in cities and counties to make sure that they have a person dealing with compliance for ADA and also have a plan for ADA, and if they do not have one, then they face the threat of federal funding. They're just showing up. People didn't know. We just happy to get a chance to found this out. Maybe 557. I brought this to you earlier. This has to do with during the pandemic, people were allowed to attend all boards, whether you're elected or appointed to a committee or board, or you're allowed to. But won't be many. You have to go. So you're allowed to attend a meeting virtually, right? And then there's a bill called AB 161, which allowed that to go as long as there's a declared emergency in the state of California. So this bill will eliminate that sunset on that. So in the future, if they declare emergency, that people will be able to meet virtually. And then AB 817, this has to do with non-decision making boards, such as like the policy board. The citizen advisory committee, stuff like that. It's just advisory that you would be able to meet virtually. Not have to be actually in the building. That affects, like I said, on the academy percent something. But we're down to the bare minimum for us to have. Our last member had to drop off because we're gonna have to take care of her. So she didn't get the meeting. So it's good. That'll be good for the politics. Scooters, I brought this forward through last time, telling you where it's at. That's when Heath Fords, Samara Fords, bill that is an appropriation, AB 295, which has to do with the vehicles whose operations to restrict the use of scooters, pocket bikes, and golf carts. That is on some of the guests that have to similar pass through the Senate. AB 316. This has to do with atomic vehicles. So to prohibit the operation of atomic vehicles over 10,000 pounds. And that's for either transporting goods, transporting passengers, or just for experimental purposes. We're supporting this, and I don't know why we're supporting it. I got to obviously since it's in our policy, but what it's saying, there has to be a human being on board that autonomous vehicle at all times, which tells me it's not autonomous. But anyway, so that's something that we are supporting. The advanced clean fleets, as mentioned. Public safety, about 47 bills. Fentanyl, the chair of the Assembly Public Safety Committee had chosen to hold a small fentanyl bills. There were two that were allowed to get out. They're just turning into study bills, and he's catching a lot of flack from the caucus. And we don't know where the governor is on that, but you've heard, you all read about in the newspaper as well. The appeals to be made to them, but they're saying they don't want to start going to drugs. That's the telling that. So those are important at the beginning. AB 742. So this has to do with emissions before. You cannot use unleashed canines. We have a subject out control. That is appropriations. I don't know. It could be out.
It's out. It made it out of two appropriations. We'll be hearing it on the floor next couple weeks. So prepare for an update on that tomorrow.
Thank you. Housing, Assembly Constitutional Amendment 10, which is called the Right to Housing Act, and it's going to be on the 2024 ballot. The constitutional right to housing. I haven't really heard yet, so I don't know what's that actually. They made it die. AB 50 requires investor-owned utilities to engage the local government on connecting projects to their grids and other projects that we're not able to go forward because developments like that, because maybe we're able to take power to them. Sets timeline for doing so. So the big 13 is the 13 largest cities in the state of California, and they have gone to the legislature asked for ongoing funding for homelessness. They want $2 billion for the HAP program, and then $1.5 billion for public use for deferred intelligence foundations for the currently unhoused for multiple things, so. SB 584, this would be a state TOT, could be used to make workforce housing. This is just for short-term only, not for hotels or hotels, just have to about the VRBO, things like that. And AB 1657 is a housing bond, would be $10 million, would be a large 2024 dollars. There's a breakdown of what that would be. Solar out. Sorry. I'm so sorry. Okay, this homeless fun facts time. John, you're not allowed to vote. All right, okay, you probably know all of them. Okay, in the city of El Cajon, you can be charged with a misdemeanor for giving food or toiletries to the homeless. Law or die.
Law.
That is a law. That is true.
It's a law?
Yeah.
It's a law.
El
Yeah.
Cajon, oh.
Yeah, because they were having people with feeding them carbs, so that's how they stopped it.
Mm,
Modesto tried that like 6 years ago.
really?
Yeah,
Wow.
because of the mass feedings in the parks, it wasn't an
Oh,
anti-homelessness
right,
program.
right.
It
just wasn't
was
the right place.
a, let's make sure we're funneling the resources to one or two locations to take the impact off the parks and the citizens. It's not an anti-rule, it's really a process.
It's so long. So, in the city of Sausalito, unhoused people can only be given non-GMO and organic produce. And food items.
That's gotta be a lie, but I would believe it if it was a.
Yeah, Sausalito.
Or Marin.
But I think look, I'm thinking it's law.
La la la.
But it's Sausalito, so
That is our answer.
I did,
I'm gonna go
I did
live.
make that up. I was raised in
yeah.
Marin County, I spent
Yeah.
a lot of time in Sausalito, so I figured that Sausalito was kind of cool people on that one. And then California is rated #1 in homeless assistance program in the United States.
absolutely.
Yeah.
DC.
Fourth, Colorado, Georgia, and Oregon are ahead of us.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know what criteria they use to.
Okay, assistant programs. Who has the most homelessness though? I would say we do.
Phoenix has the largest
By far.
homeless encampment in the United States.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but
So-
encampment,
so
but
wait,
statewide.
So we should just look at Phoenix sometimes and remember, say,
notes.
at least we're not,
Is it working or is it bad?
it's bad.
Yeah.
It's trying to find us up, there's a program in Los Angeles, it came up when I was doing all this, where they give like $42,000 a year to an average homeless person or something like that.
I haven't heard that, but yeah, there's
Pays
a lot of assistance. That may be for, that where they're not actually giving it to them, but just what they spend. per
It said
person.
it's income.
But we spend more on inmates than we do on students, so that's a long road to go down.
Anyway,
And that's not a negative.
thank you.
Are you going to your other attachment today?
Pardon?
Are you going to your other attachment you asked me to put?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I apologize. So this is just a truncated, part of the analysis that we did. I want to just highlight some points that there. It's $3.4 billion in one-time fund. So the Cal Cities is currently has a $3 billion ask. $2 billion of that for ongoing funding, because they keep telling us we set these programs up. There's no ongoing funding for us. Money to be gone maybe this year when there's a huge shortfall in deficit in the budget. And so this is part of what the governor is giving for getting us one-time funding. Point that out. The housing accountability, this is really scares us a lot because they really don't have a metric, and what we're doing now isn't working. And we haven't found something that works yet. And so to set some kind of standard, the cities and counties have to meet. And if not, you have to, you can lose your, it'll be linked, but link homelessness funding to having submitted a compliant housing element. And the problem with compliant housing element is that housing HCD is not processing in a timely manner. So cities don't have compliant housing. So it's a big problem with that. And I just thought you might want to downtown rebound program, might be of interest for that. That's $1.7 million, $5 million. I think there's something coming down too.
I was in Sacramento this week also, and one of the panel sessions that I went to, there was 2 legislators that were sharing that they are forming and have been working for a while on a whole new concept to bring out and start sharing in the next few months, apparently, to try and make true change across the board in the state. So the conversation was a good conversation.
And then $4.2 billion for the high-speed rail. And then the bottom, the new flood protections that the governor, he moved, I think he moved money out of climate change area, he moved it to the flood, which is really important. You know, there's a tax going before the citizens of Stockton to raise money. It's like, you know, the most is gonna be $100 per parcel up there to be able to raise it to support, we do the levies up there, the risk of it.
Oh.
It's because of it's a 200-year flood.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Any questions for Stephen?
Quick one for the group on the SB 584, which had the state of California occupancy tax with funding towards workforce housing. So just this would be something maybe to look at in the future. Here in the county, the county charges 8% occupancy tax for properties on unincorporated. So the cities collect occupancy tax. We get money from the city for Visit Modesto. Every city has that. But the county doesn't have a use for that TOT. And it may be interesting at some point to look at that. It might be a way for the county to contribute with the cities. And it might be something good because I know it affects our businesses, it affects government relations. I mean, if the state's doing it, why shouldn't the counties be doing it?
Yeah.
And it's not a ton of cash. We don't have that many hotels on county land, but every little bit would help into those programs here in the county.
What's
They already
the-
have the tax.
What's an example of one that is on county land? not city?
Anything in Salida.
Oh, God. Okay.
There's 4 hotels in Salida. I think there's 2 other hotels between Ceres and Turlock on unincorporated land.
Yeah, okay.
Was that an intentional build for that reason? Did they build
So
it?
the county has been collecting occupancy tax forever on those properties, and the state on their unincorporated or things that are on state land, like in state parks and things like that. So they're doing specific use or allocated funding. I'm just saying there's funding source there locally. That at some point.
Is that just from the general fund?
Yep.
That money?
Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay.
And it's not uncommon. In 2018, there were 34 cities that implemented into their occupancy tax across the United States. And a portion of the revenue going towards the unhoused programs or other types of programs rather than tapping the general fund. So it's not an uncommon practice.
Because this is becoming a big problem in the cities, areas of short-term rentals, long-term rentals off the market. So she said this making the affordable housing market situation even worse. So yeah, I know the county of Chemung, it's terrible. There's not probably any long-term rentals in Chemung County because they're all being turned into Airbnbs. Say hey, TOT's not that. We actually have a big partner.
It's not mandatory. Like in Modesto and in all the cities of Stanislaus County, the short-term rentals do not pay occupancy tax.
Oh, really? Yeah, I know they do. it
Like in
there.
Modesto, it's almost, it could be up to $1 million a year of extra collection.
Yeah, there's a company that we work with that actually has an algorithm, a program that will search different websites to find the short-term rentals. And so you collect TOTs.
Their DNA
Huge-
tracks
huge
that.
number.
Interesting. Okay, so shall we circle back to Craig Lewis's question for Dana? I know, Dana, you said you're done, but Craig does, I think, have a question for you in the chat.
Yes. The California Municipal Utilities Association, Association of California Water Agencies, California Special Districts Association, Cal Chamber, Farm Bureau, everybody is involved in currently meeting with legislators, and each of those associations obviously have different members that are members of that association. So everybody has been meeting with different legislators, like as Todd mentioned, I was up in Sacramento earlier this week, met with 3 different legislators. I can say TID's there Monday. So yeah, there is a somewhat organized effort with the different agencies. But I will tell you that I did propose to CMUA and Aqua that more of a calculated meeting schedule needs to start happening, because we're almost positive that these bills are gonna make it off the assembly floor. And we think that where we can see some action is on the Senate side. So, and we really do need to point out to the different legislators how these bills are going to impact their communities. It's like Groveland Community Service District receives their water from Hetch Hetchy. If the Tuolumne River water rights are impacted at all, that impacts Hetch Hetchy, which impacts Groveland, who it'd be devastating to them. But there's such a small organization that they're not sure how to advocate. So like we're bringing in people like, we're helping people like that to get involved and how lobbying can impact. So yes, things are being done. Simple, short answer, yes.
Okay, and okay, great. Thank you, Craig. I understand you're listening because you just said thank you. And then I think to clarify, Keenan had stated not true. He was probably answering to the truther or
The lie. Yeah.
exercise.
He
I'm
was.
not saying
Not
that.
Craig Lewis' stance.
Keep it in order, people.
Yeah, so I just wanted to clarify that. Trish, do you have any special announcements before we get into the report?
Sure. On June 1st, we are holding our next Rise and Shine with our CEOs event, but this time we're doing Rise and Shine with the badges. We're holding it at McHenry Museum. Doug Ridenauer Seniors Catering will be doing breakfast burritos for those in attendance. And our panel will be the chief of police, the sheriff, and the fire chief. So it'll be a very different take of a leadership panel discussion. So we're really looking forward to that one. Tickets are on sale now. And on June 22nd at the Century, we will be holding our second annual Sustainability Symposium. We're working right now on lining up the feature presentations, but we will have specialists who are presenting on air, on water and power, on transportation. StanCog is going to be one of the sponsors and presenters. MID, probably partnership with TID, will be part of the presentation on the water power pieces. We're kind of navigating who's talking about what right now, but we're covering 5 different pillars. One will include the California Green Business Network Stanislaus Green Certification Programs, and the partnership with getting businesses support to get rebates to certify as much as possible. And sponsorships, table sponsors, we will have a tabling portion of that for organizations that want to sponsor. It's a low tier sponsorship for that. So we're going to have 45 minutes or so of information sharing, networking, and then we'll go into it's a 2-hour time block, but there is a 30-minute lunch break in the middle of all that. So it's going to be a different, enhanced or improved upon process from last year. This one's going to evolve a couple of times as we get it really established. So and then for anyone that's on our President's Tier member category, we are holding a private President's Tier only networking event of sorts at Gallo Center next week. Burley's Bistro is catering that. Let me know if you're coming, because we need to take reservations for that.
All right.
So those are my big
Thursday.
3 right now.
Okay. Remind me, the badge is chief of police, fire chief, and
Sheriff.
Of course. Yes. Awesome. Excellent. All right. Very good. Okay. Any questions for Trish? All right. Without further ado, let's move into our special report or guest presentation with Director Keating. Janice, if you want to go up and relocate to the front of the room. The floor is all yours. No presentation, right?
How long does your meeting go?
We go till 1 o'clock. We're
Okay.
at 12:23,
That's what I
so
was gonna ask you.
yeah, you have plenty of time.
Okay, so first, I stopped by
the Farm Bureau because I saw this sign as I was heading into the office the other day to pick up your swag. And I think it says everything. So thanks for the rain. Prayed for it. And this year we got it in abundance. And in case you're wondering, this is for your glasses and or your screens. So it works great. So you're welcome. MID's happy to provide. So in December, I was elected along with 2 other directors, brand new to the Modesto Irrigation District out of a 5-member board. So 60% of our board is brand new. Fortunately, I've been around the block a few times and I understand because I was a former council member for 8 years. So I understand how the process works and what's expected of you and how to evaluate staff presentations and information that comes your way. So, so far, so good. All of us, not as predicted, are getting along just fine. And we have our arguments, we have our disagreements, but so far, you know, it hasn't come to blows. So water, power. It's a great elected position. It's been a really interesting and educational time for all of us on the board of directors as we try to figure out whether or not, you know, what are we supposed to be deciding? Where should we be involved? The water issue, obviously. The Modesto Irrigation District and Turlock Irrigation District both co-own the Lake Don Pedro, New Don Pedro Reservoir. So we have hydropower and we have about 2.1 million acre feet of water that then flows to A, the city of Modesto, and B, the growers in the area. So we have about 3,000 growers that receive our irrigation water. And this year, there's no limits on how much water anyone can get because we had an unbelievable spring and winter. So I serve on the Don Pedro Recreation Agency Board, and I have been going to Lake Don Pedro since the mid-'80s when I was in high school and dating my husband. So we still are there almost every weekend. Some of the things that have come up are kind of interesting because we didn't have to deal with COVID, right? So we came in December, and so COVID was over, and slowly but surely we've been rolling back any of the measures put in place for COVID. So as business owners, I thought I might pose a question to you that has become an issue on our board and how to deal with it. And that is hybrid working. You're at home, some days you're not. Turlock Irrigation District actually dealt with it and they proposed an actual policy with written expectations. And the Modesto Irrigation District has never done it. So I don't know if it works. I don't know if it doesn't. I don't know a lot about it because nobody put it down on paper. So if there's nothing we can review, and the only review that we have available to us is a 1993 document about telecommuting. So one of the things that we want to do is we recognize that you may, it may be perfectly acceptable, it may be perfectly okay. Just explain to us what it is and how it helps the organization and whether or not it helps productivity or it deters from it. We don't know. So we're looking into a lot of different things that, are new to us and new to the employees. And we look forward to cracking it open and just having the open discussion because it hasn't happened up until now. So that was one. As you know, we have replaced our legal counsel, our general counsel, and put in an interim at the moment. Our general manager, who was a long-term employee and came back at some point before my time to become the general manager for the last 2.5 years, 3 years. He's retiring. So there's a lot of really exciting opportunities for us as we look at what we want and how we can best serve the ratepayers. How, I'm looking forward to the budget. One thing on the city council, you could always count on me. I'm a budget hawk. And, so I'm a tax preparer and a bookkeeper by trade. So I understand budgets and I understand numbers. And particularly when it comes to sorting through sort of the confusing way that sometimes information is presented to a board. But again, the biggest surprise for me was how gentlemanly and courteous and kind my fellow board members are. And how nicely they welcome me in, and I'm a question asker. So I ask a lot of questions and I probably drive them crazy. But if I don't know something and I can't glean it out of a report, then I ask a lot of questions. So that's another thing. I'm trying to compare what it was like when I served as a city council member and my role, responsibilities, duties are in comparison to the Modesto Irrigation District Board. And how are they different or how are they the same? I can't really find anything on it. So that's part of what we're going to be going through as a board and looking at our governance. Should we update it from 1993, for instance? And are there things that are different that we can change that would make more sense and give the board?
I'm laughing, I'm sorry, because is that a rhetorical question? Updated from 93?
Right, yeah. So, position titles have changed since then and everything else. So, I just wanted to thank you for having me. I wanted to thank the Modesto Irrigation District. Dana, thank you for your help with all these little things. So we gave you some flyers, and it is true. I am the first female elected to the Modesto Irrigation District in 135 years since our existence. And they're very happy. Sometimes, right? So anyway, what do you want to know? What questions do you have?
So what's the process with the search for new general manager?
Well,
Sorry, I'm rearranging our view here.
The retired general manager hasn't left yet. So I think there is a closed session item on our agenda for Tuesday so that we can begin discussions on what to do next.
Oh, you haven't opened a search or anything yet?
No, got it.
His
No.
last day is a week from today.
Right, it's like the 26th, right? May 26th. So our next meeting is on the Tuesday, the 23rd, and we meet the second and the last Tuesday of every month at 9 a.m. So anybody, we do Zoom, which I find impressive because I think the city of Modesto probably wanted to get rid of that as soon as they could. But I think it's really great because a lot more people can attend our meetings and participate. And a shocker that the meetings were at 9 a.m. My husband never broke that to me when I was running until he felt like it was safe to let me know. I'd have to get up, get ready, and be on top of things at 9 a.m. So we don't mean to be humorous in the Keating family, but it keeps things interesting. So yeah, we haven't done that. We also haven't done anything but insert an interim general counsel either. So how that develops and where it goes is just ongoing. And it's all a big change. It's a big change for 3 out of the 5 members who are brand new, and we're still learning about turbines and hydroelectricity and how much water to let out versus what's coming into the reservoir and electricity rates and water rates for the growers and all these hearings that we've had to have. But it's a really great organization. every single person on all the tours that we took for the onboarding, which is the first time I've ever heard of onboarding. Everyone we met, they were just great people and they love working for MID. And the thing that struck me the most was that as we were going around the table full of departments and they were describing to us what they do, I've been working for MID for 20 years. I've been working for MID for 26 years. I've been working for MID for 18 years. So there's clearly a family and a trusted organization that takes care of its employees as best as it can. So I appreciate that because it was never like that on in the city of Modesto. You know, I don't even know that anybody's even there that when I was there. You know, they all left and they went someplace else. Well, that doesn't happen at MID, and I'm really grateful for that because it's made my learning experience that much better. So, yeah.
To Trish's question, is there a new job description for this GM search versus the 1993 version? Like, are you looking for a contemporary
Well, the
workforce?
general manager is always
General
going to be the
manager.
general manager.
Right, but has the job description been updated to contemporary standards based on industry
That's a
and
very good
practices?
question.
And I think that answers your work from home question. And if you get a modern
Right.
administrator, they're going to understand contemporary
Right,
policy.
and essentially, when we were bringing up sort of our questions about department to department to department, how is this hybrid telecommuting schedule working? How many in this department, how many in that department? I mean, they're gonna have to tell us because we don't know. And then we found out that 50% of the workforce is hybrid work. Okay, that's a lot, in my opinion, for, you know, it's not like corporate.
Yeah, but
because-
has the GM job description been updated?
I have no idea. I will ask that question.
Yeah, I mean, like
First thing.
conducting a search without an
Oh,
update.
no. I don't think we're prepared to conduct the search. I think what we're prepared to do is to place an interim that is someone that is either known or unknown to the district that can fill in and run it. Because the GM has, you know, it goes the board of directors, and then there's the board secretary over here, and then there's the general counsel over here. And then the line goes down and the two of them report to us directly. So they're direct reports to the board. And then it goes down and it's the general manager and everything goes under him.
Who runs
Or
the
her.
business?
Yeah, right. So it's just like city manager, for instance. So the city manager has all the fingers go down under there, and you as a director don't go and tell Dana, go do this, right? Because Dana works for the general manager, right? And, you know, I mean, sure, Dana and I can have a conversation about different things and, you know, have questions about like legislation and I don't understand and Dana can explain it to me, but I can't go order Dana to do anything. So I think the general manager position has to be considered almost identical to a city manager.
But you can tell me,
Yes.
But we all have met me.
That, you know, most nonprofits are structured that way as well. I work for the board here, Todd works for his board. It's kind of just the nature of how they're structured. And that kind of closes the loop on part of his point, and it is when you guys do your search,
Right.
conduct your search, you find the right
We have to make
person.
it really clear what our expectations are. First of all,
Absolutely.
in the year 2023. In terms of the requirements and the responsibilities within that organization and whether or not. You know, those are gonna be diluted or changed, and we have to do that way before we actually go out.
True, but in
Because
the
someone has to
end, you should land an appropriate person who understands the makeup of the work environment today, because your question doesn't have one answer.
Right.
Every organization does a little different.
Right.
I'm doing a little different based on the needs of my staff
Mhm.
and their individual needs in the circumstances they live in coming out of COVID, where we're at today.
Right.
Gallo has a policy in some departments that is different in other
Exactly.
departments.
Yeah,
It's
and
really,
that's
And
what-
our city manager is actually the ultimate authority, not city council. Because we have a city
Oh,
manager.
yeah, see,
See, you know, so there are
I mean-
different types, I don't know if
technically, if
MID
you
is
look
the
at our
other
org
way.
chart, it's a little bit weird that we're on the tippity top. And it seems like it should be 1, 2, 3, and then us. Because direct reports, but like I said, different organizations, different.
But you'd see that
styles.
structure the same anywhere. It's always the board is the guiding force.
Right.
You hire
right.
the
But
boss.
some things
Stephen
we
might
should
be able to
doing,
help
some things we should be
get
doing.
some
I just
job
can't find
descriptions,
what
though,
it
right?
is.
No? You don't
I
cross
just-
any lines?
just
But there
say
are
that, no, you just say
probably
that.
contemporary job
There's
descriptions
job
out there.
descriptions for each
TID's
position
general
at
manager hasn't
MID.
been there all that long, right?
Yeah, I'm sure
Yeah.
there's some comps out there. I also had one other funny thing, just FYI, since you're new.
Okay.
When, you know, all those gates that are up and down,
The
all of the canals.
Yes.
Do you know how they paint them?
Just had a few, installed.
Do you know how they paint them?
How they paint them, I don't know.
I was driving by one time, no BS. They were, a
Spray
spray can
Spray.
on on a piece of metal from here. Just imagine where all that
Sure,
spray
was
is
it gonna do
going.
graffiti?
It was weird. I'm like,
On a pole?
wouldn't it be, I'm like, how
I
many cans?
happen to
Seems
live
envisioned.
along a canal and it happens to be the homeless highway. So between Chris, Ricky and myself, we got contacted by someone who their garage and their yard backs up to a canal. And they had their garage broken into, they had their house broken into, and there was just all kinds of trouble. So I've seen them installed because we got right on it. You know, because Chris contacted me and I'm like, let me find out. And like within 4 days, those gates were going up. And, you know, thank you, hallelujah. But, you know, so there's a little bit of a difference with the MID and when something needs to be done in terms of responsiveness compared to the city of Modesto. I'll just tell you that right now. First, Ricky's answer was to contact me and say, here, you deal with it. And it was like, okay, I'll deal with it. Consider it done.
It's not really- Do you know if they're, you know, Toronto?
Oh, okay. Well, actually, I do know a little bit about that. And the problem with Turlock Lake is that it has to have a concessionaire. Okay, and the concessionaire is handled through the state of California. Okay, so it is in Stanislaus County, right? But it's not operated by either the city of Modesto, such as Modesto Reservoir, and or TID or MID, such as the Lake Don Pedro, right? So it's trashed, from what I understand, the outbuildings and all of the, you know.
Supervisor Chiesa and Condit, I met with them recently. They're working with their Parks Department on exactly that, to try to get the county Parks Department.
Yeah.
To be the concessionaire, exactly, I mean, them's great,
And that,
but they're trying. It is convoluted.
right, and then they're gonna have to create a funding source for it, you know, and then they're gonna have to, I mean. At the Don Pedro Recreation Area, that was, you know, the first, the expansion was done in 1972. So that's been in existence for a while, but you know, you have to have staff, you have to have maintenance, you have to have groundskeeping. You know, by the way, fireworks show on the lake, July 1st, Saturday, July 1st. I'll see you all there.
Like Don Pedro.
Oh,
At
wow.
Lake Don Pedro.
Okay.
Mhm.
How many years has it been? Didn't they, I thought they
It's
stopped
been
that?
years.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
wildfire
It's
danger.
been
and
years,
everything.
I think 4.
Oh, wow,
I
yeah.
wanna guess.
That's
4.
exciting. That's
And
good.
I'm only guessing.
Yeah, have fun getting your boat out of the water afterwards.
Oh.
That's why you have a slip.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Good fights, that's where you're gonna see it.
So I'm
Boat
hopeful
launch.
for Turlock Lake because it's, you know, in
In
comparison, Modesto
Yeah,
versus
right.
Turlock Lake.
That's the one I
You know,
saw.
I mean, Don Pedro is obviously the gem in the, you know,
It's trash.
crown there. But Turlock Lake was a really nice lake and it was really well laid out and it was easy to you know, pull off to the shore and do all that stuff. So it'll be interesting if the county decides they want to take it over because it's a big job.
Well, they do want it. It's number one, getting the rights. And then the reason we met with them on that is because of tourism and trying to put together a program for funding so that they have revenue sources.
Right.
Yeah, 'cause I talked to people from TID, they say they'll never open again, like, no, don't say that. There was some.
Well, TID has nothing to do with that.
I know the two supervisors and their count and their parks department.
Yeah, TID is not
Actually,
gonna.
they brought it up to us.
Yeah, they
TID or MID
So
are
that's
gonna have
good.
nothing to do with that, because we have our hands full with DPRA and the reservoir there. But if the county wants to take it on, I would encourage you to contact your supervisor and let him know that you would support that, and that the county should get into the business of running a lake. Because, you know, I mean,
Or at
it's
least the
there.
recreation area.
It's the state recreation area, I know that, that's why they
It's
say they, TID just manages it for them, and when we used to go out there before, they had two elderly people
I
who
don't-
run that place, it was crazy to see them try to.
That's why I think they closed.
It was insane.
I think they were a concessionaire.
Yeah, no, they
Yeah.
were, yeah, they were the same thing, they also have Brandon Island. And two together, I used to like that.
My family drove out there around my birthday and I had just seen Todd, so I was doing the drive and we stopped at Roberts Ferry and we went out there. The lake is beautiful, but everything is trashed around it.
I know,
It's
yeah,
bad.
that's what I heard.
Did
You
you
get
get them
some
butter
Go around
milkshake?
the gate.
My daughter did. I
Good.
didn't get the milkshake.
But I mean, if you
She
haven't
liked
taken a drive
Loved
up
it.
132 through Waterford and onto Don Pedro Reservoir at the intersection of J59 and 132, you should. The water that we're having to release from the dam right now is incredible. And the pastures and the river is 3 times the width of what it normally would be. And it's all the way up, you know, the cliffs there on 132. The water is all the way up to that slope, that down slope on the other side of the road. And it's completely covered, and it continues on to the covered bridge area where that little picnic recreation area is. And it's all the way until you get past, the ranch with the house on the hill, whose owner shall remain unnamed. Which would be Director Bird. But yeah, so the water's crazy. It's crazy, but you should go up and see it. And the lake will be full, by the way. The lake is gonna be full this year. Amen, hallelujah. And I think it's like, this is the most rain we've had, the second highest rain total
83.
since 1997.
Do either of you know about the status of the fish ladder in LaGrange? Because I know they got approved years ago, but because you would know if something's coming up, right?
If I don't, I can ask our AGM of Water Ops. I'll text him right now and see if I get an answer.
And I'm not saying pro or con. I heard it passed years ago that it was like a $70 million allocated project, but it could be like 132.
Passed
say
what,
another
though?
132.
Passed at the Water Quality Control Board or passed at the.
Oh, yeah, that's why I'm
Irrigation
asking.
Board.
Yeah, what, as a fisherman, and I'm not saying pro or con. I'm
LaGrange?
not at,
A fish ladder at LaGrange.
yeah.
There sure
As
was
a
further up in
fisherman,
Long
'cause it
Beach,
has
they
an
wanted to
impact.
have the kayak area where, you know, I mean, all the studies, I think we've done so many studies for the FERC relicensing. And that's the other biggie for the district is we can't get the 25-year license. I think that's how many years it is, because the State Water Quality Control Board won't approve our water plan, and that's why it's really important that everybody follow the voluntary agreement that TID, MID, and Brookfield Irrigation District put together for presentation that is better than what they were initially going to require us to do, which would have given us no water if we had had a drought year. So I believe there was some hearings yesterday. If I'm, yeah. But I mean, I talked to Tom Orvis at the Farm Bureau and he said that, you know, the environmentalists are coming out of the woodwork to argue against our voluntary agreement, which we're giving up some things. The state is giving up some things, but it's best overall for our area. So fingers crossed, but there may come a time where, you know, I'll call you guys up and say, hey, we need some people to go to Sacramento. Because when we have to go to Sacramento, we get overwhelmed with environmentalists. And they're loading those hearings up and they're expressing their opinion. And we don't have anyone on our side sometimes. So it may be a little bit like the origination of the FERC relicensing in 2012, where we start to gather community organizations, groups, anyone to show support and to voice that support and to be loud and proud about
The
it.
last time I had to Russell.
Yes,
But
Chamber with me, that's it, Farm Bureau. MID.
people need to keep in mind that yes, the VAs are still being discussed, and there's a MOU regarding the VAs. If these water right bills pass, the VAs, they're a moot point, because it won't matter. So it's going to be interesting, because we've been doing this for 5 years now, discussing the VAs at the governor's request, to see if his administration will not come out on whether they're in support or against these water rights legislations. So it will be interesting, because his agencies have been at the table. We're back at the table. And yeah, we can't get a 401, which holds up our license, and can't get the license without the 401.
Correct.
So it's a vicious cycle.
correct. So we just renew, we bump it forward 1 year, bump it forward 1 year, bump it forward 1 year, and we've been doing that since 2012. And it won't be permanent and accepted only on a 12-month basis until we can get some satisfaction from either the governor to put pressure on the Water Resource Board or whatnot. So all the legislation that Dana read off earlier is incredibly important for everyone in our community to oppose. And, move forward with the voluntary talks, because we're giving up some stuff, they're giving up some stuff. So let's just end all this, between we have litigation, we have like 2 different lawsuits that seem like they're never gonna end. And it's like, how long have we been doing this? How many years?
So I do have an answer. He says he's not heard of a fish ladder at LaGrange. There was discussed fish passage at Don Pedro. And that was part of a request of one of the agencies, and I want to say Fish and Wildlife, but could have been NOAA, one of the federal agencies, on putting fish passage at Don Pedro. And I do believe that the FERC board struck it out because it wasn't part. It wasn't part of the license, like to make the license happen and water quality.
I just didn't want to see a $70 million worth of construction go through LaGrange. That would be
I know
sad.
that discussion.
Wouldn't it?
I know that discussion occurred, and it was probably the fishermen who suggested such a thing, and
Not us trout guys, wasn't us trout.
nope, not yet. Okay. All right. Well,
So we're down to our last, less than 10, more than 5. So questions, comments, or other inquiries for Director Keating?
Yeah.
Or on anything else that came up today? Hey, manager.
I don't know, but the city of Modesto is gonna have to change their domain.
Well,
Their
it
ModestoGov.com.
it passed out of the assembly. It still has to go through the Senate
All right.
side. So it could get killed in one of the Senate committees. And if any of, Stephen, you're probably
I mean,
aware
it's
of this.
such a waste
You
of
just-
time. This is
you-
like why we don't need.
You have
government.
these bills, and when I served in the state Senate, passing a bill probably was around $10,000. That was a few years ago. I'd say it's probably $25,000 to carry a bill through both houses, get it to the governor's desk. So it's very expensive considering we have a $31 billion
Yeah.
deficit.
Exactly.
The governor had asked his legislators, hey, let's think about what bills we're gonna carry because it's so expensive. But the governor and the legislature is not on very friendly terms right now. So they're basically telling her to pound sand. The bill went through, it's gone through almost one house. It still has to have a floor vote. It's now the time where people are getting more active as far as lobbying because you the amendments are being made, you're seeing what's gonna happen on the floor, and you have a better chance of getting it killed or amended on the opposite house. Because they're not so beholden to one of their fellow members.
Well put. And hopefully it dies for lack of a second.
Well, it's a solution looking for a problem.
Yeah.
So hopefully the cities and counties, up their lobbying efforts and, advocate against it.
All right, so our next meeting is Friday, June 16th. We will have Edgar Garibay with Tuolumne River Trust here, so we will continue our water conversation. He's just gonna give us an update on, really just an overview and an update on some of the projects that they're working on here locally. And then just a sneak peek to get us through the summer months. July, we will have, and don't tell anybody this, Congressman Tom McClintock here. He accepted the invitation.
Hey, when? In August?
July,
Okay,
July 21st.
sorry, I wasn't listening to you.
August, thanks, that's normal. August 18th, San Joaquin Regional Rail Commission, so we'll go back to talking about trains. Dan Leavitt will be here. September, we'll have Assemblyman Juan Alanis here. And the invitation is still out for Alvarado Gill as well as Duarte. So they're working with schedulers, not to put you on the spot, but since we came out of an election year, here at the chamber, we always want to give our newly elected officials an opportunity to come and speak, so. They have an invitation in their inbox. I think, thanks for the folks on the phone that joined us. Please come in person next time and enjoy lunch. Thanks again, MID, for lunch. Yes, we have a plug from John.
Yeah, so I just wanna, some of you might be interested for EDC, Economic
yes.
Development Committee, June 7th, we have, Southland Farm Bureau will be here. And then in August, we're doing them every 2 months now. And so then in August, looking at August 2nd, I believe, we will have Dave White and Opportunity Stanislaus. And then in October, we will have Todd, help me out, Barb from Cal Travel will be here in person and talk about tourist and travel industry in the state and local.
Great, way to build that schedule out. The only 2 months available for GRC is October and November, because we are dark in December. So if Alvarado Gill and Duarte accept both, then we will be fully booked through the rest of this calendar year, which is great. So
I have a comment.
yes,
This young man over here did a presentation, city council. 2 weeks ago, and he had a video that they put together. Every one of you should see it. And I know he's in the process of doing a little bit more editing on it than that. But it's something that I think that either one of these two meetings, how long is it? Maybe
It's 4 minutes. I'll take, I think
4?
we're on a red already.
4 or 40.
4-0.
Okay, why don't we just air those
YouTube.
for EDC and GRC?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you'd like us to, we'll
It's
absolutely
really-
do that.
It's really
Yeah.
a great motion to.
And what it is someone, we had travel writers in February, and one of them wrote a letter. They were so impressed with our community and county. And we were so blown away. It was such a touching letter. And written so well. We actually hired a narrator and then took the narration and put it to video. And it's written as a letter to Modesto.
There's probably been 4 or 5 in the last few years that things done. This is absolutely.
In the video, is the full letter red?
It's red, so it's
The
a
full letter
voiceover
is,
and the
okay.
video is constructed to support the letter.
Right.
We actually had to shorten it because
Okay.
we're 7 minutes. What?
The Sam's letter?
No.
Is the letter, can the letter be shared publicly?
Let me just ask the.
Okay, 'cause I think-
just took her name out, so instead of her full name.
Oh, okay,
it's Andrew J.
okay.
Which I'm fine with. I have no problem.
Well, let us
sharing
know,
the whole
'cause
letter.
I
The whole
love-
Letter is great.
Yeah, I'd love for you to bring the letter, printed copies, and then we can do the voiceover video, and then we can have a little discussion about it.
So.
for EDC and GRC.
So it highlights.
It'll
all
take
these
10 minutes.
Areas in and around the next.
The whole county, yeah,
Road Farm is part of it.
yes. It's our number one tourist destination in Modesto.
Wow. So let's do that in July because I'm gone in June. I don't want to miss that. So I'm gonna plug that in for July.
And I'll send it to all three of you.
Okay, and you'll do June for me.
Thank you, Cecil.
We'll adjourn with 2 minutes to go here. Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Bye, Craig.
Wonderful
Bye,
weekend.
Brad.
Put on sunscreen. Drink lots of water and.